Ripple me this, riddle me that. There's a ruse afoot involving Ripple, Swift, and SAP. Hey folks, Sam I am. And when I first started looking into Ripple and XRP and becoming an investor, the first step I took was to really understand, okay, what are these three products that Ripple's offering, XRapid, XCurrent, and XVita? What are the differences between them? What markets are they serving? And what customer problems are they solving, and so forth? And very quickly, I understood that XCurrent is essentially the software that Swift woulda, shoulda, coulda developed any time over the last, say, 5 to 10 years. Capabilities have been there. It's been technically feasible, but Swift is bank owned. They're this nonprofit. They're isolated from market signals that keep them healthy, like competition, the need to innovate, the need to provide good customer service. I mean, we talked about how, they're sitting on change requests that are 10 years old. And so in the last video, I talked about how RippleNet is integrating, being plugged into the back end for the banking sector, but I really wasn't clear on GPI and how that kind of fits into the big picture, and the retail payments aspect was a little bit still fuzzy for me. Well, I'm here to tell you I've cleared all that up, and I think we have a very, very clear picture, and that's what we're going to kind of put forth in this video and help you guys all understand. So how does it all fit together? I've got some talking points over here about XCurrent and GPI, but let's watch this video and just hear it from Swift themselves.
Swift GPI dramatically improves the customer experience in making cross-border payments by making them much faster, so the payment happened within 1 day, and in reality we see that actually it takes only minutes and even seconds. And secondly, you can track your payment across multiple banks in real time, and you even get a confirmation that the money was credited on the account of the beneficiary. Over 145 banks use GPI to send over 300,000 payments per day to over 4,000 banks across 220 country corridors.
Those are payment
rails. In 2018.
So, they're doing that over pre-existing relationships, corridors that are established, and then you can start using them. And now they're going to talk about what's coming November 20th with the SR 2018, which we've previously discussed and done a bit of a deep dive on.
As of November this year, all Swift users sending key payment messages will have to put the GPI unique tracking number. That means that over 1 billion payments sent by 10,000 banks will become trackable by GPI. That's what we call real innovation at global scale. So as a call for action,
Okay, now let's look at XCurrent.
Let's look at the inner workings of Ripple's settlement solution for banks, called XCurrent, and how it improves cross-border payments. In this example, 2 banks use a correspondent bank to route their payments. XCurrent includes Messenger, which is used to coordinate information exchange between the banks.
Bidirectional messaging.
And the ILP ledger uses the interledger protocol to coordinate funds movement between institutions to settle the payment. XCurrent ingests existing message formats like SwiftFin or ISO 20022 through a translation layer, such as CGI's Intelligent Gateway or Upon completion, Ripple provides a confirmation message to all counterparties. The entire payment process across multiple banks takes seconds and provides end-to-end visibility into the transaction while increasing processing rates and lowering operational costs. Join the global real-time.
So if you notice there, and over here in this slide, I've put essentially the same talking points or the same bullet points for Swift GPI and for XCurrent, and that's because they are exactly the same thing. GPI is Swift's version of XCurrent. And of course, if you've read the Faster Payments Task Force, you'll know that when Ripple comes in to do an integration for a bank or an FI, that it's a 3 to 4 month consulting project. Ripple sort of is more of an advisory role. The bank's own integrators do the work behind the scenes because they're already set up and qualified and so forth to get in there and work in the secure banking environment. But it's a major process. And so what has happened, what's very clear to me has come about, is that, you know, when Swift was looking at integrating all of RippleNet's features, they had to first go to their protocol. And that's where we get that SR 2018 changes that are coming, and the UETR, and being able to do the end-to-end tracking and so forth. In the process, though, they've built APIs that will integrate or work for RippleNet. So, and Ripple's a smart company. You know, they're not going to do this 3 to 4 month project and then have to turn around and come back and do it when the customer wants to flip the switch and turn on XRapid. I guarantee you, if they're not identical, they're going to implement whatever extra little bits they need to be able to flip that switch to move customers from XCurrent to XRapid without bringing the consultants in and having a several month delay. So in the process, what's happened is Swift has redefined their standards document. They've added these new features around payments and so forth. We've gone into that on a previous video. But at the same time, they've built the API interfaces to be able to plug RippleNet in for XCurrent or XRapid. Okay, and we're going to show you some proof that that's exactly what's going on. Now here they're talking about 100 billion payments today, or $100 billion in payments today. The 220 payment rails. So you got to set up the relationship first, and then you can start using it and so forth. And 160, they go into the timing and so forth. Not really important, but that's kind of the big picture of what GPI is. GPI is really XCurrent. Okay. And one more piece of information I wanted to talk about here is this task group. They are a Ripple partner. Here's a document that they've put out that really highlights the benefits of XRapid and what it's going to do. And then right here down at the bottom, I want you to pay attention to this. It says the Task Network Gateway is at the heart of the European Target 2. Now, Target 2 is the T in the TIPS system, and the T2S RTGS systems from the very start. So here you have these guys are a payment hub for Europe, and they're at the heart of TIPS and Target 2, and they're espousing the benefits of Ripple and XCurrent or XRapid in this public document. Okay, so just another piece of information. Keep that in the back of your mind. We're going to kind of touch on it a little bit later. Now, though, let's talk about SAP. And, SAP is a huge company. They are the engine that runs the global corporates out there in the world. I mean, they have 400,000 customers in 180 countries. 92% of the Forbes Global 2000 are SAP customers. They've done a Swift integration with their payment engine to where they can generate Swift messages and send those on to the Swift network. And they did this demo between ATB and Risa Bank. And now some of you have seen this video right here. I'm going to play this for you now.
Hi, I'm Tim Wan, Director of Innovation here at ATB Financial in Canada. We're the 9th largest financial institution here in Canada with $43 billion in assets. We were the first Canadian financial institution to move real money to real FI across the ocean in near real time. We couldn't have done that without a pure SAP digital core banking platform. And we couldn't have done that with great partners such as Risa Bank and Frank Boborak, who's the head product there, and Ripple. Where that transaction from us to that German bank, Risa Bank, may have taken 2 to 6 business days in the past, it takes an average of 8 seconds. And I'd love to introduce you to my friend, Frank Boborak at Risa Bank in Germany.
Frank came to visit us here in Calgary, Alberta,
Now, I've seen this video, and this has made the rounds on Twitter and so forth.
Time. But now that the party's over, I actually owe him $1,000 Canadian. And I'd love to show you how that we sent it to him right now.
Now, I don't know what these guys were doing over there that this guy ended up leaving owing him $1,000, but I guarantee it involved hookers and blow. Bankers know how to party, especially with other people's money. So he's setting up the transfer on his phone right here. You can see that. And he's going to send it to the guy at Risa Bank in Germany. There he's sending it. And a few seconds later, it shows up as completed. There's your end-to-end tracking. And sure enough, this guy gets very happy. Whoa, that's a great rate. This is amazing. Thanks to Ripple and this new technology, I now have this $1,000 in my bank account. And right here.
Here, the payment's been sent and Frank has received it.
He's got the confirmation. Like, this is amazing. I will be doing blow off a hooker's ass this
Ripple
evening.
provides a great
Thanks to this
platform
new
for vertical
technology.
integration, for new services to be built upon. We have an opportunity to seize the moment today and to do something tangible and real with this technology.
Okay, and this was, what was this? July 15th, 2016. So this was a while ago. Now, I'm going to show you some slides from SAP. This was put together by one of their solution architects. They call him a support architect. I think it's just because they're a huge company. Roman Herrera, he's in Pennsylvania. Again, a support architect for SAP. And he's put these slides together. And this one right here is absolutely key. So I'm going to blow this up so that you guys can see it a little better. Now, that video that we just watched is linked right here. I'll put the URL to this presentation in the comments of the video so that you can watch it if you want, or go find these slides. But if you click on this, it will launch the video that we just watched. So he's explaining what happened there behind the scenes. Here's the ATB Financial phone that the guy was using to send the payment. That's right here. It goes down to the Ripple console review that feeds into ATB's banking and payments platform. I think this line is dashed because SAP's stuff may be remote in the cloud, so to speak, and they're also feeding information into SAP directly. You can see right here that they turn that into a packet, into a message, an MT103. What is that? Well, that's a Swift message, folks. And then what happens to that? Swift is going to obviously take that and forward it along to the Ripple gateway, where it then goes out over the Ripple network. Now, I know what the skeptics are going to say, well, this could be X current, blah, blah, blah. No, it couldn't. Look down here in the fine print. Ripple technology is an open source system based on IP, permitting domestic and international payments at in any combination of currencies in order to be settled directly between parties. So any combination of currencies. Again, if we go back to where was it? Back to, I guess I scrolled away. Yeah, back to right here. X current and GPI has to be over existing payment rails. It won't work otherwise. So this is cluing us in that this is X rapid, not X current. And it also, here it says, without the need for clearinghouses or correspondent banks. What are correspondent banks? Let's look at Investopedia. Correspondent banks are most likely to be used by domestic banks to service transactions that either originate or are completed in foreign countries, acting as the domestic bank's agent abroad. Okay, so this is XRapid. They're creating Swift messages. Why? Because they want to feed them into Swift. And then Swift, it's showing right here, they're giving it away, that they're going to forward that on and for processing through RippleNet when it comes to an XRapid transaction. When it comes to an XCurrent transaction, then they might do that over Ripple, but they also have developed in-house while developing the API in order to interface with RippleNet. They've developed their own version of XCurrent, which is GPI, the Global Payments Interface. Very interesting, huh? All right, let's get back to, whoops, bear with me here as I try and get this to pop back into place. Okay, there we go. So, SAP has also, right here, they're talking about their fully automated import of Swift transactions. So they've created a plugin for Swift that basically lets them interface with Swift and generate those messages and so forth. Now, let's look at some of the Swift sort of indications of what's going on. And this is a key quote by Chief Executive of Europe and Asia Pac, essentially, for Swift. Swift is delighted to have played an important role in the creation and rollout of real-time payments in Australia. He's talking about a trial that they did, the first rollout of GPI. And, you know, it's important to look at the words. An important role, not we developed this new system that we're rolling out, but we're playing a role. And the role that they're playing is sort of the connection between the existing infrastructure and basically a message forwarding service to move these messages through to RippleNet for processing. And then down here, there's some more. Swift's instant payment solution is also replicatable in other geographies. Swift provides U.S. financial institutions with a gateway to the clearinghouse's real-time payments platform, as well as providing similar solutions to participants to Hong Kong's faster payment system. Now, remember how I've said the Federal Reserve's faster payments task force is being duplicated by central banks all around the world? Well, that's exactly what this is right here. They're just kind of telling us this is the first rollout, but we're going to clone this around the world. And it's certainly possible to do that. And here's what they're bringing to the table. With a robust infrastructure already connected to more than 11,000 global financial organizations across the ecosystem in almost every country in the world, Swift is in a unique position to help customers implement a world-class instant payment solution that will revolutionize the payments industry. That's the unique role or important role that they're playing in the creation and rollout of real-time payments, not just in Australia, but around the world. Australia's the first, their first rollout of this new technology. Now, when it came to Europe and the Target 2 system, a lot of that was geared towards retail payments, and I was really kind of confused by that. I'm like, well, Swift doesn't do retail payments, but here I found it in this document related to everything we're talking about. In practical terms, Swift already holds a position in the retail payments market. For almost 2 decades, we have offered access across European automated clearinghouses, those are ACHs, such as EBA, Step 2, STET, and RPS. We currently support 29 ACHs worldwide, transporting over 26 billion transactions yearly with an annual growth over 11%. Our move into instant retail payments is a natural progression of this and reflects the evolving needs of the Swift user community. So absolutely, they are going into retail payments, and they're not doing this solely for tips. Okay, they're going to do this worldwide. So now we have all 3 legs of the stool. You've got bank to bank, you've got corporate to corporate or corporate to bank, and you've got retail, all suddenly running through Swift. And guess who's going to be processing all of those transactions? It's RippleNet, or at least the vast majority of them. Okay, one more thing, one more piece back here. I think what I wanted to show you, this one is the same Swift solution will provide customers with a single gateway to connect seamlessly to the other instant payment systems in Europe and elsewhere. Swift, which currently connects 85 of the 149 high-value payment systems in the world, including CHAPS in the UK, Target 2 in Europe, and the Swift India domestic services. We've seen a lot of news stories about Swift or about Ripple being involved in the Indian market. A lot of what they're doing with American Express, I think, is centered around in India. They offer gateways to instant payments platforms in Hong Kong and the U.S. So here they're telling us this is a global thing that we're going to get into. You know, we are the gateway to the financial payment systems of the world. Okay. Now, let's see. I've talked about how the U.S. does not want to move away. Like, they would object if Ripple came in and just replaced Swift. And one of the reasons is they want to control, they want to have the ability to punish nations that don't do whatever the U.S. wants them to. And they want to be able to starve poor people and children in these countries that aren't playing along. And this is an article about that. They're talking about message type 202. I want to focus in on this diagram. So 103 is a bank-to-bank transfer. 202 is a bank-to-FI transfer. And so, you know, I used to be in telecom, and this was very similar to what I did. You would have the ILEC or the incumbent provider basically originating a landline call. They would send it to the long distance carrier, who then should have taken it and dumped it to the terminating call. You know, if you're Texas to Florida, let's say, it would go from whoever, Verizon, let's say in Texas, over the network to Bell South or whoever it is in Florida that's terminating that call. And MCI, if they're the long distance provider, they would terminate that call. But instead, what MCI used to do is they would sort of repackage the call to make it look different. If it's Texas to Texas, intrastate, then those rates can be 10 cents, whereas Texas to Oklahoma might be 1 cent. So there's a huge incentive there for arbitrage. And what they would get caught doing all the time in Texas and Florida and other places where there was this big incentive is they would, right here, they'd take the call and they would repackage it and they would give it to a CLEC, a local, competitive local exchange provider, and they would make it look like long distance instead of intrastate, so that then they would hand it in to the ILEC, the incumbent carrier who owned the customer, who would ring the handset of the person receiving the call. And so instead of these guys paying 10 cents a minute, they're paying 1 cent a minute by basically disguising the traffic. And that's what's going on here. With this old MT202, there wasn't the end-to-end transaction. You didn't have the end-to-end communications. So you could do these kind of things where you would send it through another country and skirt the regulations, skirt the embargoes and so forth. And once they roll out SR 2018 and GPI, it does away with this problem, and they're able to further tighten their grip and starve poor people in countries that don't do as the U.S. government demands of them. So just another sort of, kind of brick in the wall that is showing you this is why they're going this way. I think eventually RippleNet will just take over and replace SWIFT, but I think that's years down the road. And this is one of the reasons that that's not going to happen sooner, as well as the 3 to 4 month integration for each bank to come on directly to RippleNet. And it's also why, they've gone through these big providers in the background that are running the financial engine of the corporates like SAP, and they've created a plugin and an interface with them in order to be able to process their payments and do it for thousands, tens of thousands of customers instead of one bank at a time. Okay. And then we saw the same thing on the bank-to-bank transfers. They've gone to Temenos, who's providing this service for 3,000 banks in 150 countries. That's how you flip the switch and turn on massive global adoption almost instantaneously without doing it one bank at a time. The very slow and arduous path. Okay. So that's what's happening. I mean, this is really amazing to me. And this slide is so telling that that's what they're doing. They're sending it out through SWIFT over the RippleNet in order to process these payments with xRapid, not xCurrent. And the big secret is in this video, when we played it, these guys never once mentioned that this payment was going through SWIFT, but I think it absolutely is or will in the future. Okay, one last thing I want to cover here relates to drama in the community. There are a lot of people who get very upset by this 589 number. You can see right here, somebody posted, riddle me this, riddle me that. Don't even get it right. Fun, funny, silly. The facts are the facts. And the fact is, XRP will not be 589 end of year. Get over it. And then somebody else piled on, and I just blurred them out because it doesn't matter who actually tweeted this. The sentiment is the same for a huge part of the XRP community that just have their blinders on and want to come out on the attack with these ridiculous statements that we're going to dive into here. He's telling XRP community, please accept the fact that end of year 589 is impossible. Impossible. It can't happen. XRP will hit that someday, somehow, but not this year. Please be rational and don't speculate for 589 by the hype that is based on nothing. Nothing. Let me ask you something, viewers. Does this right here look like nothing to you? Because to me, it looks like Ripple has gone in behind the scenes and set up with these key players in the marketplace who are providing these services en masse to the banks, to the corporates, to the retail providers, and they've plugged into their systems, and at the flip of a switch, regardless of what the price is today, I do not care. If it goes to 10 cents, it is the most incredible buying opportunity in the world. And I'm not giving you financial advice. That's the other thing I get accused of by these guys. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm doing this for entertainment purposes only, to help you see what I see. And that's an incredible opportunity here for you to take advantage. And to say this, that it's based on nothing, well, you know, it's probably hard to see what's coming when you've got blinders on, when you're looking through this view of the news, okay? These people, one of the other things they tell me is, well, we follow the news and that's the real source. That is so stupid and short-sighted, because I guarantee you Garlinghouse is not picking up the phone. Hey, CoinDesk, yeah, we're going to go visit with Temenos today, and we're going to pitch to them plugging RippleNet into their back-end software so that we can capture 3,000 banks in one go. Did you want to come along and do a story for that so our competitors can know what we're up to? How stupid are you to think that that's what's going to happen? Of course they're not going to do that. Where you find, if you've been in tech and you've rolled out, you know, big projects like this, as I have been involved in, you know, in telecom with AT&T and Sprint and Verizon and so forth, and Hewlett-Packard and Agilent, it starts with someone writing some code, okay? And then that code gets turned into a spec, or it changes the spec. So what do we look at? SR 2018, the spec for the messages that control the transfer of payments through SWIFT. What else do you see? You see slides presented at conferences and in meetings, and sometimes those get released. We've looked at a lot of slide decks from these various companies. What else do you see? Live demos at user conferences. What have we watched? Live demos from user conferences. What else? What's one of the last steps? You'll see announcements of partnerships and hints from the people who know what's going on. They don't want to lie. They're generally honest people who are answering questions in a way that doesn't give away what they're not allowed to talk about, what they don't want to announce for a number of different reasons. But if you're paying attention, will let you know what's coming. And that is what the haters here, the 589 haters, don't want to see or don't understand today, is that these guys are ready to flip the switch, not on one bank. That's the other ridiculous thing I've heard. Well, Brad's only said one bank's coming online. Well, yeah, did any reporter ask him, what about Temenos? You know, nobody's looking at that. Nobody's asking that question. And if he did, I bet he wouldn't be able to answer that question. Or if he did, we'd see some massive price moves in XRP, because this is how you get to. It is not based on nothing. It is based on research and documents that are going to tell us what's coming. You're looking at the wrong sources. You're looking in the wrong places. You are looking at sources that will let you react. I am providing information that will let us all anticipate. So if you want to close your eyes and look through your rose-colored glasses and see nothing because, you know, your bias is getting the best of you, that's your option, okay? But don't bring the hate my way. I'm taking all these and building a huge collage, and then I'm going to put the XRP price chart on top of it with some quote about believing in yourself and hang it on the wall in my new house that I'm going to build, all right? Anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. A lot of useful information in here. Big changes coming, folks. You know, Ripple really has sort of cornered the financial market of the world, and they're getting ready to flip the switch later this year. Time is short to load your bags. Get as much XRP as you can if that's what you want to do. You know, really consider that. Really look into this stuff. We're not going to have this opportunity for much longer, and please consider getting as many people as you can, as you're comfortable with, on board. At least make them aware of the opportunity that's in front of us, of what's coming down the road in just a matter of weeks at this point. I'm Sam I Am. We'll catch you next video.